What is up, guys? Welcome to Fantasy Faceoff tonight. Stoked to get into a Dynasty Startup mock draft. First one I'll be doing on this channel, and we are going to include rookies. First, though, I'd like to introduce you to my buddy, Andy Mikola, who makes some appearances on the Dynasty Drip channel, but I brought him in to do this mock draft with me today. Andy, how are you today?
Pretty good, man. Dog's been a little sick over the last few days, so the sleep has been interrupted with those beautiful sounds of funny dog coughing noises. But took him to the vet. Seems like he's doing okay. Just ate something funny, so should be good to go. Should be good to draft some players. So all good.
There's nothing more stressful than your pet being like sick because they can't explain to you like what's like. You're like, are you dying or did you just like eat some poop, dude? Because I'd love to know.
And as much as you can't explain to him like, dude, eating poop is bad for you. It's gonna make you feel like this. He's just gonna go back outside and be like, but I kind of want to eat the poop.
Oh, 100%. We had a friend and they said they got this stray dog and they had to muzzle it because it just wanted to eat all of the poops.
Oh no.
But after a good hot start to the show, guys, we will get into our mock draft. Thank you for sticking with us through poop talk there.
Yeah, man.
Hopefully we're gonna be doing this
as long as my dog's poops.
I know. We're gonna be doing this on Sleeper. Andy's gonna have the number 2. I'm gonna be picking from the 11 slot. And we are going to be doing a third round reversal. Something that I think is mostly a good idea. I would say, I mean, if you're first time Dynasty League, maybe don't do a third round reversal just in case you're getting confused. But I think in general, would you agree, Andy? It seems more even, I think.
I think it definitely helps balance out, because if you start out with one of those stud quarterbacks, like that's such an advantage in SuperFlex leagues, which we are doing a SuperFlex draft. And so no matter who you get at like the 1-2 turnover there, it's not going to look nearly as nice as, the team who's got Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen plus the guy at the end of the second. And then they get another really good player at the top of the third. So by sending it back around, it really helps even it out. So I'm a big fan.
Yeah, that's basically how I would sum it up. Is I think in a SuperFlex league, you get such an advantage by getting one of those first, 5 quarterbacks maybe, that I think this gives a little validity to late picks. But we'll see how it plays out. So we're gonna get it kicked off today, and Andy and I are just gonna kind of give you some tips as we're on the clock. Some players maybe we're considering, maybe ones that we ended up not picking, or why we're kind of choosing who we're going with. So I'm going to get going on this mock draft here, and Andy's going to be up pretty fast.
Boom. We're on the clock. So yeah, SuperFlex, early pick. I'm definitely going quarterback here. If it was standard, non-SuperFlex league, I would definitely be going wide receiver. It would either be Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson, whoever's there. It is 3 wide, so tiny bit of thought to that, but for me, the pick here is Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP. He's still only 28 years old. Like, he's still going to be on my team for a long time. I love Jaden Daniels, but after, one amazing year, I think I'm still going to take Lamar ahead of him. So, boom, pick.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. And maybe it's just a safety thing. I tend to play it a little safer in a startup. But, I remember we did a league 5 years ago, I think we did startup, and I took Lamar Jackson at, number 2 in that league. And I'm very happy with how my pick, seeing as he has completely held that value. Couple of interesting picks though in the league. Love seeing Bowers go for, so sometimes these sleeper draft, we're not doing tight end premium. I think you could make the argument in a tight end premium league. I'm on board with that pick. I think in a non-tight end premium, I would lean towards maybe a late first. But some interesting guys here. It's tough. I really do love going quarterback. It's just the 6 guys I would have taken by 11 are gone. And I think that's going to be pretty common theme a lot of times if you're picking in the late first of a Dynasty Startup Draft. If guys are going heavy on quarterback, you're going to have to learn to maybe not take those guys. So for me here, it's a pretty easy pick from who's on the board. I'm looking at the wide receivers. I think if I was maybe a hardcore contender, I could lean CeeDee Lamb. But I think in general, you can't go wrong with Malik Neighbors, man. He's my dynasty wide receiver 3 in a startup sense. I think if you had more of a contending team, I think you could maybe argue for Amon-Ra or CeeDee Lamb or whatever, but you can't really go wrong. Amon-Ra and Bijan going at the turn, pretty spicy start if you're not going quarterbacks. So here comes the game, right? Here is where the game begins is, do I take a quarterback? Do I not take a quarterback? What kind of value do I want here? I'm really, really staring at CeeDee Lamb, thinking it could be kind of hard to pass him up. We have 3 wide receiver slots on our rosters for you. Those of you guys looking at the screen, we're doing 2 RB, 3 wide receiver, and 2 flex. So you can play a bunch of wide receivers here. And so I think I'm going to go CeeDee Lamb. It kind of hurts me to pass on the quarterbacks here. I think if I did go quarterback, I would have gone Justin Herbert. But I think for me, it felt a little much of a reach for Herbert there at 2-2. And especially with the 3rd round reversal coming back, I'm hoping I can still get at least one quarterback at this 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just scrolling down looking at who will be there for you. And there's definitely some quarterbacks that I like. So quarterback that you might say I love. But for me here now, I mean, some good RBs on the board, still some good wideouts. But, I know he had a down year last year, but I think CJ Stroud's going to be bouncing back. I love that they drafted him a couple of weapons. So, and I have no problem going quarterback, starting a SuperFlex draft. It makes the rest of the draft a lot more stress-free. It's like I can just, if there's a great quarterback that falls to me in the 5th, 6th, or 7th, I'm still happy to take him and have 3. But I can just then focus on wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends. So I think I'm going to go Stroud here.
Yeah, I think that's smart. I mean, and here's where the 3rd round reversal already kicks in, right? So as we went over earlier, 3rd round reversal, what exactly does that mean? Experienced dynasty players or drafters may know. We did briefly cover it, but basically, instead of it snaking on the 2-12, 3-1 here for team 1, team 12 gets 3-1, and then it's just a snake from here. So I'm up at 3-2. Drake London went, good pick. This guy's really hammering the non-quarterbacks. I have to go QB here, though. For me, I'm not waiting another 24 picks or whatever it's going to be until I pick again, and I have to go quarterback. And just to stick with Andy's pun, he's going to love this one. And it's good value. I mean, I have him here. Part of me was maybe considering like a Bo Nix or a Kyler Murray, but I think Love just has more upside. I think we haven't seen Jordan Love's best season yet, where I think we've seen Kyler Murray's best season. Bo Nix obviously still could happen. I just don't know if he has the pass-catching weapons yet to reach that elite ceiling.
Yeah, I agree. And, this early on a startup, like you said, it's, there's definitely going to be some rookies that I'm looking at, especially, as it goes down. But for the first couple rounds, it can be so tough to put that much capital into a player that you haven't seen. When, yeah, they're probably going to be good, but there are busts in the NFL draft every year. And definitely nice to get, someone who's still young, got some upside, but you've also seen at least a little bit of what they can do. Let's see. All right. Well, 3 wide receivers. I mean, I love Achane. Like some of the running backs on the board here, but I think I got to go receiver. And for me, it's between JSN and Rashee Rice. JSN now the number 1 guy kind of in Seattle, Cooper Kupp here on a short deal. I think he's going to be my pick. I love Rice as well. I think that one kind of comes down to preference, but we're going to go JSN. And coming back around, I might just double down and get Rashee Rice. But as far as running backs, I mean, there's one guy who I think sticks out to me, and that's Travion Henderson. I don't know how you feel about the RBs here. And I don't hate getting at least a kind of stud RB to cement the team. And, rookie running backs drafted early are usually a little bit more they have a less likely chance of busting than like the wide receivers or the quarterbacks. who go in that range. So I feel a little safer about taking a rookie RB, but I'm just going to keep it. I'm going to keep the wide receiver train going.
Yeah, I mean, from the way this draft laid out, that 3-4 turn for these early picks was a great zone for wide receivers. I mean, JSN, Ted McMillan, Rashee Rice, a couple more guys even in there I would have felt comfortable taking if I needed to, especially with those two quarterbacks you already had. And I'm with you. I think RB-wise, unfortunately, Travion just went. I probably would have taken him at 4-11. But, what is more perfect training for a startup than getting sniped before your pick and having to rally and really learn what to do? I mean, because it happens every time we do a startup. So just kind of looking at the board here, I feel like I want another quarterback, but I'm also considering kind of playing this waiting game. And I'm also kind of looking at the RBs here, and Judkins is really standing out to me. I think he's really the last guy. I guess Jonathan Taylor's there. Wide receiver wise, bunch of guys in the same tier for me, to be honest. Kind of looking, scrolling down here. Dunze, Javonte, Olave, Worthy, Flowers, Moore, Addison, Emeka. Pretty fine with all those. I'm trying to figure out here, quarterback wise, I really don't have much of a tier difference on these guys, which is why I'm really struggling to zone in on one. So I think I'm going to take a chance here. I think I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor. I want to take Judkins and just kind of have that rookie fever hit me, but I think Taylor is the much smarter pick, and he's still young enough that I'm really not like super concerned with Taylor. And there goes Judkins. I honestly would have considered taking both of them. But now it's time just to solidify my quarterback room. I don't want to get too risky here. I want to make sure I get a second starter. And if I'm going off my ranks, I have Brock Purdy. I mean, I think he's a little safe, and maybe he doesn't have the highest ceiling. It was between him and Lawrence for me personally. Lawrence has just been so up and down that I don't know. Like, he did just get Travis Hunter, which is interesting and made me kind of want to reach on him. But for now, in the startup sense, I'm going to go Brock Purdy. He's been healthy, he's been on the field, and he's been consistent.
Yeah. Do you have both those guys a little higher than Goff then? I think for me, I
have them. Yeah.
I've got them pretty similar, but I think I might have gone Goff, but like you said, I don't think they're that far apart. But just that Detroit offense
for me. I think that extra 5 years on Goff is just enough. But I love Jared Goff, to be honest, man. I just included him in a buy video on the Dynasty channel about, I think he's one of the best contender QB buys you could have if you want a safe quarterback too for your team.
Yeah. And now coming up here and looking at the guy in team one, that's one of the nice things about being right on the turn is it's really easy to see what, all the other teams have. So he's already drafted 2 running backs. So I probably don't need to take a running back here with McCaffrey and Chase Brown both sitting there, because I would imagine he's going to go wide receiver, quarterback, and fill out more the needs of his team. So I think I'm between Devonta Smith and then Zay Flowers to get that Lamar Jackson stack. I think they're fairly close. I think just because I have Lamar, Flowers is pulling me in just a little bit right now. I think if I didn't have Lamar, I'd probably go Devonta Smith, but like a little bit of that correlation. So we're going to go Flowers.
I am a sucker for a good stack, especially in a mock draft when it doesn't even matter. That's the thing, because like it's not even a real team. So it's in a mock draft, I'm like, oh, I'm doing it. I'm stacking, dude.
Yeah.
I'm getting all the Ravens. I'm just going to stack all the way down the board.
Yeah.
So coming here, I think like Andy's seeing is like, I think he likes some of these wideouts, but he's looking at his RBs and he's deciding if he's just going to bail on the position as a whole.
Very empty. And I'm kind of sneaking down and like looking about like, okay, how many RBs are left that I'd really be stoked about? And
I think there's a couple.
there's a
I'm curious
couple,
to see
but
what you're thinking at. Yeah.
will they all get back to me? I mean,
No, I don't
so
think
that's the
so.
thing is like, it's,
Yeah.
like I like the kind of top 4 guys on the board. I'm fairly into. Then I still like the later guys, but a little bit less. And I don't think those 4 guys are all coming back to me. So
Yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take, it's crazy. 25 years old, still got some juice in the tank. Only one real big year. I'm going Chase Brown, which I feel
25
pretty
years
good about.
old. 25 years old, Derrick Henry. Put him on the team. Put him on the team.
Yeah.
Plays like a 25-year-old. I like what Andy did there. I think for me, if I was in that spot, I was looking at the running backs, I was looking at the wide receivers, and if all the RBs go, I think you feel a little gross. And I kind of scrolled down at wideout, and I was like, you know what? Like, if you got to get Ricky Pearsall as your wide receiver 4, I don't think you feel bad about that.
I wouldn't hate that at all.
Like, I think that's really good value. I think why the elite wide receiver 1s are so valuable in Dynasty is that there's so many wide receiver 3 and 4s. Like, the wide receiver 3 and 4 tier could arguably be up to like wide receiver 50. Honestly, I think it almost seems like that at times. So I'm sitting on a pretty balanced team here. I have 2 quarterbacks, 2 wide receivers, 1 running back. I think there's 1 younger running back I'm kind of looking at that I think I might have to convince myself off of, even though I do like some of these wideouts. But there's like 4 or 5 wideouts I'm okay with after this turn. So I'm going to take the first rookie on this team for the draft, and I'm going to go RJ Harvey. I think this is pretty good value. I think this is about where he's going would be my guess. I'd love to pull up, maybe head over to Dynasty Data Lab after this and see if round 6 is early or late for RJ Harvey. But, Caleb Johnson went. I think
he's a guy that I wanted him to fall back to me because I think I definitely would have taken him with 7-11. I didn't think he would at all, but I think, for where you're able to get him here, he was like the last guy in that tier of like, it was Chase Brown, Caleb Johnson, Derrick Henry, RJ Harvey that I was like, I want one of those guys. So,
and now I'm looking back at the wide receiver tier. I was really hoping Addison or Worthy would fall to me. I understand why they didn't. I'm not too butthurt or anything. So I may go, I know this isn't a tight end premium draft, but for me, even in a single tight end or non-tight end premium, I really do value having an elite tight end. And I'm looking at I'm actually looking at 2 guys that I have in about the same tier. Now, George Kittle is interesting just because I have Brock Purdy and I have these good wide receivers and I have 2 good running backs. And I may have just convinced myself into George Kittle, actually. now that I'm looking at it, okay, I don't know. I'm going George Kittle, and I'm going to explain myself here. I have 2 top 5 to 8 redraft wide receivers. I think I have 2 top 14 redraft quarterbacks, and I have an RB1 in Jonathan Taylor. And I think by the end of the season, I think Harvey could maybe be a RB2. And so I think I've now chosen how to select my next 4 picks in that I'm going to choose some guys that might score some points for me.
Yeah, no, I think that's a real good way to do it. Look at your team.
Because I'm just going to shout out Zach here. Zach, thanks for hopping in, man. We appreciate the comments, guys. Pulled Jamie up earlier. Thank you guys for joining on the Faceoff channel. I'm just about a month in here on Faceoff and having a blast, and I love the audience engagement. So keep the comments coming. We're here to do our topic for this show, which is mock draft, and then we're going to do a roster review when we're done with our mock draft. But we're also here to engage with you guys. Make sure to drop any trade questions. I had this up earlier. If you subscribe to Dynasty Drift and Dynasty Drip, which is my personal channel, and if you subscribe to the Faceoff channel on YouTube, subscribe to them both, then comment any sort of trade advice and we'll bring your trade up and we'll cover it. No cost, man. We're here to help you guys win your league. And then when you win your league, you stay subscribed, and then we're going to ask for your money then. But at the moment, it's free.
by check.
Andy's on the board here, all the way down at 7-11. What are you looking at?
Yeah, I was a little bummed, man. I was George Kittle. You snagged him. Literally, I put him in my queue, and then you started talking about him. I was almost like, dude, should have talked you out of this. Like, but no. So I think that was a great pick. That's who I wanted. So here we are looking at running backs. We got, I definitely need another one, but I might be able to play a little bit of a waiting game. Get a DeAndre Swift. Well,
yeah,
at least
I really like the Swift value on Sleeper right now. Just from looking at this startup value,
real low from where he is. And I'm like you. I think I would like a solid tight end. So really for me, it's between Kincaid and Andrews. There's Pitts and Njoku later too. I feel like Andrews is a little undervalued. He started off pretty slow last year, but after week 5, he was really, really solid. Didn't have any elite games, but he was like 15 points a game on the dot.
This is what I'm talking about. The Raven stack, man.
Yeah, it's like a super Raven stack. The super stack. But yeah, we're getting low here. Could go quarterback. Can never have too many wide receivers. I'm going to go ahead and take Brandon Ayuk here.
I think Brandon Ayuk is a very unique dynasty asset right now. I think you have a lot of guys that are in the Brandon Ayuk camp and a lot of guys that were not in the Brandon Ayuk camp that were like, see, even though he got hurt. I mean, it wasn't like he sucked. It's just he's really fallen due to the injury and the slow start, I think, last year.
Yeah. And now I'm really torn. I see a couple of my Packers on the board there between Matthew Golden and Jaden Reed. And it's the new shiny toy versus the guy who exploded in the first 3 weeks and then wasn't utilized as much later on. Or I could stick with the plan and go tight end.
There's some great wide receiver value.
There's
so many.
Yeah.
There's so many.
And Mike Evans is still going to score a shit ton of points if,
scrolling down.
You're trying to win it. So
I personally, I am on board with, I think tight end is the move. I think for me, after Kincaid and Andrews, I have a personal tier. That's for me. I also think Tucker Kraft is a little underrated. But also it's tough with those Green Bay weapons. They really do. They're good, but then there's a lot of them, and it's a hard game to play.
Yeah. I'm just going to go super Raven stack. I'm going to move to Baltimore. I'm going to open up a little chowder shop, and I'm going to take Mark Andrews. Slightly wishing now would have gone Devonta Smith, knowing I would have got Mark Andrews in the 8th, but okay. If the Ravens have a big game, I'm going to win that week in fantasy. So
I went to Baltimore once when I was a kid, and I went to the ESPN zone. That was sick. Gotta say, I was probably like 11. That was probably like cool. When you're 11, ESPN zone.
Oh yeah, dude, that's like the best. Da-da-da.
So now kind of scrolling here, scrolled a little too far there. We just got our tight end. Looking at the starting lineup here, I mean, I think for me, it's pretty clear. It's time to hit a couple wide receivers here, and I'm probably just going to double dip at wide receiver. Oh, this is tough. I just have the same exact choice that you had. Oh, actually, did Golden go?
Golden went.
He did go. Okay. Then never mind. Then my choice has been made. But I was going to say, theoretically, I've thought about Jaden Reed against Matthew Golden, but I haven't actually been on the clock and had to decide. And I feel like that's when you actually learn who you prefer, where it's like, on a spreadsheet, whatever, I can put whichever name I want above the other one. I think between Reed and Golden, though, I think it's one of those things that if I was on the board with the same pick twice, I would take one of them each time. I really think you're cutting hairs. They came out and said Jaden Reed's going to be the wide receiver 1 still, but also, dude, Matthew Golden is really exciting, and first round capital you cannot pass up. And talking about first round capital, even though I took Kittle, if I can get younger guys who can still produce, I'm going to go for that. And I still think I might be able to add a couple production vets, maybe at the 10-11 turn. So I'm going to go with a guy we just talked about in Ricky Pearsall. I think he's a really good value here in the 9th. Could potentially work his way into, I don't know, maybe a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 role by the end of the season. Doesn't hurt to have Brock Purdy either. That wasn't what sealed me. That is kind of what sealed me with George Kittle. It's what sold me, but I just think that's good value for Ricky Pearsall. Former first-round pick. Ayuk's out. It's going to be the Jennings and Pearsall show for a while, I think, this year.
Yeah. I think you're right. And let's see. I definitely need an RB2. Really hoping one of those guys went down to me. I'm definitely going to get one here on the turn, but my question is, will Team 1 take a 4th running back or 5th running back? I don't think so.
Also, I respect minus like a couple of their picks. Just Mixon, McCaffrey, Barkley. These guys are playing in 2020.
They're going to win. And honestly, if they they have Devontae Adams on the board here, like that's definitely a team that's like, we got to win this year because in 2 years half our team might be out of the league. And if you are a win now team, like in the 9th or 10th round, being able to get Devontae Adams, who's probably going to be, a late wide receiver 1 in redraft.
Yeah.
That's, insane value. But for me, 1 RB, definitely going younger, looking to build through wide receivers and quarterbacks. I think I'm going to take my guy Khalil Shakir here.
Here comes the double scan.
No! Sometimes mock drafts, man, you can't,
You can't. I know. The sleeper.
There, but
the curse of the sleeper mock draft. It's so true.
Man, that was my guy. But that's okay. We still got DeAndre Swift is still on the board. Starting running back in the 10th. We have at least got 2 guys. The roster is full. So we can move on.
Okay, I need to figure out, is there a way to pause the draft? There's got to be, right? Pause draft.
There you go.
There we go. There is a way to pause draft. So we got a couple trade questions. I think let's go over them. So we're just going to pause the draft. So we got a little shout out here from Spock498. Hey fellas, I'm trying to build depth in a low activity. Oh, dude, that burns. That hits me so hard. Spock, I feel for you, man. I got a couple of these low activity league. Should I trade away Darnold for Evan Ingram? Not much interest in Tyler Shuck to flip yet. League is 0.5 tight end premium. My 26 picks are devalued since I won. He has another one here, so I'm assuming this is some context for what he has on his team. That'd be my guess.
Okay. Can you go back to the first part again? I need to see.
I trade away Darnold for Ingram.
Evan Ingram. Okay.
0.5 tight end premium. So probably one. Yeah. Okay. So probably
1.5.
an extra 0.5 for tight ends.
Yeah.
Allen, Love, Darnold, Shuck, Gibb. Okay. So he has
That's a nice
3.5 QBs, I would say. I'm counting Shuck as a half.
Yeah.
3.5 starters. Gibbs, JT, White. That's a stacked wide receiver.
That's a nice looking team. You just send us in just to brag.
He did. I think he did. I think this is hey guys, should I do this trade? But also I've won 7 years in a row. So it
got so many problems. Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Jettas, Amon-Ra, Puka, Tyreek Adams, McBride, some 26 capital.
I mean,
here, literally the best offer I got. Can't buy any vet with my 26 second.
Interesting. I mean, I would honestly probably wait for the season to go when people have some needs open up. If you have McBride at tight end, unless it's 2 tight end and you have to start 2 and need another one, then I might go for this trade. And I like Ingram, but
I'm with you. I would value Darnold more than Ingram just due to the super flex nature of the league. I've kind of found that even in a lower, I'm gonna put his roster back up. I think that's the most helpful one just to talk about. Even in a lower activity league, I think teams who have no second quarterback still feel the pressure. And I think that's what I'm waiting for, is I'm waiting for a team to go down to one quarterback and I'm being like, hey, you want Sam Darnold? I want your 28 first or whatever. Like, whatever. I'm going as far as I can, or I'm trying to get, I think you could get Ingram and a pick if a team's down a quarterback.
Yeah, and I think too, like, your team is so stacked that having that depth at quarterback is kind of nice because one, if one of your quarterbacks goes down, but then two, everybody always wants quarterbacks, in a super flex league. And then, if McBride gets hurt or, your deal with injuries or whatever later on, you can always trade him later in the season when there's, less risk of Allen and Love getting hurt because, there's just only a few more games left to play. So I would hold firm for now.
Yeah, I agree. And I know this isn't exactly what you were asking, Spock, but someone, if you are trying to get someone who may be kind of affordable, I think Jonnu Smith right now is a guy I would love. With that roster, I think Jonnu Smith might be the perfect tight end 2 for you because you don't need him, but he's around. And I think he's old enough that his age, I think, is causing him not to be crazy expensive. But I think he'd be a great tight end 2 on a contending team that I would trade a late second for Jonnu in a tight end premium league if I had to. I don't think I would do it this second, but I think if I had to, I would make that trade. But thanks for putting your question in, Spock. Hopefully we helped you out a little bit, man. That's what we're here to do. We're going to resume the draft again. What I love about doing these mock drafts, especially live, is that I have to learn the sleeper features with a little pressure that if I mess up, it's embarrassing. That's kind of how I feel whenever I'm trying new sleeper features. Is like, I hope this works how I think it's going to work. So looking at my team now, I did go double up on wideout in rounds 8 and 9, which I liked. That was my goal. I think it's time to get another running back, though. I might even go 2 here if I can find 2 that I like. Going to scroll down here. I was a little off the board because we were doing that. So there's a couple that are standing out to me. Honestly, I'm going to make these 2 picks, and then I'm going to get Andy's reaction to see. I think this is what I actually like here. Watch me. If I get sniped, I'm going to just do this. I think I'm going to feel really good about snagging Pollard and Spears at the 10-11 and just getting a third running back. I like Spears more in a rebuild situation. I like Pollard more in a starting running back. And I think getting both makes me feel a little better about my RB room, that I'd probably have a starter out of one of those 2 guys.
No, for sure. I mean, you've got, it's one of those situations where, you could probably flex at least one of them for this year. I would, be flexing Pollard, but if he gets hurt, then all of a sudden Spears jumps way up. If Spears gets hurt, Pollard jumps way up, and kind of any week you can kind of play at least one of those guys, and who knows, the team might be moving more towards Spears. And so you're kind of insulated there.
Yeah. Aaron Jones, I think, was interesting too. He was the other guy that I kind of was like, I guess I could go Pollard and Aaron Jones, but I wanted to get a little balance with kind of, I still want some youth. Even if I'm trying to win, I want a team that I'm going to try to win, maybe go for it for the next 3 years. And then if so, I still have some pieces around. I don't want my entire team to just be like a crippling, withering witch away.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And let's see. For me here, there's still a bunch of QBs on the board in this super flex. We started out with 2, but I don't hate ever getting any sort of backup. Like we just talked about, you can, there's always value for quarterbacks. But now it's just, which one of these guys do I want the most? And honestly, I think because my 2 guys are so pretty much set in stone, I'm just going to go for the most upside. And I think right now that's Justin Fields. Could make a case for Anthony Richardson, but I think we're going to go Fields here.
Yeah, Fields is a good pick. I mean, the thing is, and I don't mean to be like to oversimplify it, but it's like, dude, it's hard to make a horrendous pick in round 12. Like in round 11. Like, yeah, there's guys that I would take personally over certain players, but Fields is an upside pick. And same thing we talked about when we just went over Spock's trade is it's nice to have quarterbacks around. They're very maneuverable, I would say.
Oh, for sure. Now, let's see. These running backs stacking up. Bixby. Man, there's some wide receivers I really like here. I see our boy on the board, but
I know
this is a team. We waited so long in running back. I almost need.
I think you need another body.
I need another body. Let's see. We've got a fairly young team, but I don't know. There's some promise here. This team could do fairly well. We're gonna go take the old head, one of my favorite Packers ever. We'll take Aaron Jones here. Worst case scenario, I feel like there's going to be a contender. He's going to hold some trade value if somebody gets hurt on a contending team.
I didn't see Eddie Lacy on the board, man. I thought that's who you were looking for.
I do. There's some love in my heart for Eddie Lacy, dude. A big man with a spin move like that. He's shown too bright, burned out too soon.
You got to love it. So, I mean, after kind of seeing Andy go Fields, I think this is pretty good value on a third QB here. Mm-hmm. And since I'm more of a contender, this is tough. This is really tough. I can't do it with Anthony Richardson, dude. I just can't. I can't bring myself to click the button. I think I'm going to go. This might be a little cautious, but I think Matthew Stafford is a good value here.
No,
I just think for me, I think I'm going to get 2 good years out of him. And if I have to play him, I would feel really good about it. So while I'm making my next pick, looks like we got another question here. I'm not going to pause it for this one. I'm going to read this real quick, let Andy think it over because I've already read these as I was thinking about putting them up. Same guy from Spock. He's drafting at 1-5 in a SuperFlex league. Genty, Ward, Hampton, Hunter, Tet. So pretty common. That would be the first 5. So he's saying, should he go with one of those wideouts, or he's asking if he should take a running back in Henderson or Judkins, whatever. Andy and I both like Henderson over Judkins personally, if you're in that position. This is his roster right here, Andy, while I look at who's on the board, if you want to think that one over. And then we can discuss after I pick real quick.
Alvin Kamara. Okay. Oh, yeah.
So I got my QB here. I'm looking for potentially another RB. I think the RBs are basically, I'm good. I think there's a couple wideouts here. Honestly, I just don't want to go another 49er here. I cannot bring myself to do it. I think this is a good time to get a little youth on the team. And I'm going to go Jalen Noel. A guy, I'm not overly high on Noel. I think I have him as like an early third type of player. That's where he's gone in most drafts I've been in. And I think just getting a younger guy on the squad here is a smart move.
Is it considered a snipe if I'm at like 10 picks away from you, or is that not even considered a snipe? Because, man, you're stealing out.
I think in the 12th round it can be.
It can be.
Just because like the ADP means a little less than.
Yeah.
So to go off Spock, I'm going to answer his question here. From looking at your team, for me, it's usually pretty hard. I think 90 times out of 100, I'm taking Travis Hunter. I think I would feel comfortable taking Travion over Tet. I think that's the thing for me is I think if it's Hunter, I'm taking him because I just think his ceiling is too high. I think I feel fine taking Henderson over Tet McMillan, though. Andy, how do you feel?
Yeah, fairly similar. But I'd also just be fine going Henderson here over both of them. I mean, that team looks really good. You do have a bunch of wide receivers, and that looks like a contending team. And I think there's a bigger chance for this year that Henderson is better for fantasy than Travis Hunter. Now, 2 or 3 years from now, that could be very different. But, with Hunter playing both sides of the ball, with Brian Thomas Jr., we've yet to see what that looks like. Whereas Henderson, with that capital, it's like he's going to be seemingly the guy in New England. So I can see Henderson, but I mean, it's definitely great value on. 104 is going Hunter. Then I would take Henderson.
That's what he's guessing. So then yes, I would say we're both team Travion for sure. Your wide receiver room is so deep, and I'm going to mention this anytime Andy's on the show. Last summer we did a tips and tricks kind of video for redraft, but I think it really does apply to Dynasty as well. And one of the best things is know your league, and if it's really tough to trade for need, I don't think this is really much of a reach. I like Henderson. I like Judkins. And it's not like you're taking them. I think Hunter was the one for me. But, I think it's a good pick. I don't really think Tet, from looking at your roster here, I don't think Tet or Hunter sees your starting lineup. Tet over Amon-Ra, Tet over Puka, Tet over AJ Brown, Tet over Tyreek. Maybe once you get down to DJ Moore, but then Rashee Rice, who I have over DJ Moore. So I mean, dude, you're so stacked at wide receiver. Remind me to get sent an invite for your next league, Spock. I'd love to be in these leagues and compile these rosters. You've done a masterful job. But I feel you. I feel you on the low activity, man. I'm in one of those as well, and you kind of just got to catch it with certain pockets. So going into Andy's here, it looks like he went Romeo Doubs, a Packer, good depth wide receiver, back on the clock at 14.2.
Yeah, and now we are in the looking around at probably another tight end range. I mean, the value on these quarterbacks is pretty great. Like I was thinking about Sam Darnold at 11, but the sleeper mock drafts, usually there's going to be a run of all the quarterbacks that happen in like round 15 or 16. So I would doubt that they would be here. So I'm not going to take one of those guys. So it's kind of down to running backs and tight ends. And I think there's a lot of tight ends that I still like there that are on the same tier. And these running backs are looking a little sketch, and I only have 3 of them. So I'm going to go a little upside, later round guy. We're going to take Jaden Blue. I think him and Javonte Williams down there in Dallas, right?
Correct.
So,
yes. And Miles Sanders, if you're a big Miles Sanders guy. And Miles Sanders.
All right.
And Miles Sanders, dude.
There we go.
So looking here, I am back up on the clock. Once again, just to wrap it up, we appreciate you, Spock. Make sure to subscribe to Faceoff. And if you're looking for more Dynasty content, make sure to go over to Dynasty Drip as well. Andy and I have a bunch of content over there. We focus really hard on Dynasty, but we appreciate you tuning in. Make sure to like the stream as well, buddy. So I'm up here at 14-11. We're only doing a 16-round draft. We just wanted to keep it, I don't want to say brief because 16 rounds is not brief, but we wanted to keep it a little
25.
Then 25, 28, 20, whatever. We all know some of these.
Close your eyes and hit a button.
And so up at 14-11 here, I'm going to follow in Andy's footsteps. I think this is a pretty good value just to kind of stack some of these, round 3, round 4 kind of rookies. And there is actually a second-year guy I'm looking at. I'm going to go to the rookies only just to kind of clear this out. Sometimes it can be a little tough to siphon through kind of sleeper. I really suggest, going through and knowing the sleeper draft room and the draft board. If you are going to do a startup on sleeper, know where guys are, know how to locate them when you're on the clock. It seems silly and it seems like oversimplifying it, but you don't want to get confused when you're on the clock looking for someone being like, oh, damn, they already got drafted. So there are some rookies here I like. I'm trying to see. So a couple of the rookies I like are kind of down at the 250 rank. Where are we at with some of these non-rookies, though? The 190 rank. So there's a couple running backs I like here. I'm just going to play the rank ADP game. Hopefully I can get both of them. I'm going to get a second-year guy, though, in Ray Davis. I think someone for me I really like as a talent. I think elite handcuff with a potential, maybe he gets worked into the offense a little bit more as a flex kind of spell back. Wouldn't really consider him a high upside flex starter if James Cook is playing. But I think he showed last year in was it just the one game, or it might have been a 2-game sample size? But Davis had like a 20-point game when James Cook was out. Like he's a really good player on one of the best 5 offensives in the NFL. So I think that's a pretty good pick, and I think you could do a lot worse than getting someone like that later in a draft. And then I'm going to add a younger guy to my room, someone I do like as well. I think for me here, I'm going to stick with elite handcuff upside here and go Jordan James. Just for fun. San Francisco guy coming out of Oregon, going to play I don't know. San Francisco seems to always need running backs. So I'm going to add him up, and hopefully it works out. Andy's on to his last 2 picks here. So just before we wrap up, while Andy's looking, we're going to go down his team real quick, just on full screen here. So he started with Jackson and Stroud. Then he went strong with 3 straight wide receivers: JSN, Rashee Rice, Zay Flowers, Chase Brown, Ayuk, Mark Andrews, Shakir, Swift, Fields, Aaron Jones, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Blue, and now he's back on the clock with 2 more picks. Pretty strong team, I would say. I really like the way it played out. Hard to hate your team when you go 2 QBs and 3 wide receivers, though.
It helps a lot. We definitely know we have a weakness at running back, but running back I think is one of the most volatile positions. So you never know what's going to happen there always. I'm really bummed the guy I really wanted, Marshawn Lloyd, just went to a team that, I think all these teams could use a third quarterback, but Sleeper hasn't hit that yet. So, he was I'll just talk about him a little bit, because I think in this round he'd be great value. He's he was a 3rd-round pick last year, was injured all last year. He had appendicitis right when he was about to get to play, when he was coming back from his ankle. So he missed the entire season, but they invested 3rd-round capital. He's real fast, so I think he's going to have at least a little bit of a role to spell Josh Jacobs. And then in the unfortunate event that Jacobs gets hurt, I think he would see a good portion of the carries. So now where are we going to go? I'm going to go. I got Swift. I'm going to do a little U strategy. I'm going to take a little Roshan Johnson here.
I like it. I mean, when you have control in a startup, sometimes I don't know if I like handcuffing some of my more high-end players if I'm having to spend a high-end pick. This is not a high-end pick. This is a round 15 pick to maybe get the starting running back for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah. And then I'm going to take another tight end, and I'm going to take the rookie drafted by the Seahawks, Elijah Arroyo.
Okay. So this is going to be my last pick of the draft here. For me, just as this final pick, I think I did a good job with my last 3 picks, trying to get a little youth onto the team. Now I think I'm just going to look for basically contender points. And for me, I don't really think that's going to be a running back anymore. There's some guys I don't hate as deep stabs. But I think there's a couple of guys here at wide receiver that are interesting. And I think for me, it's a round 16 pick. It's a pretty shallow roster. So if I have to cut him, whatever. I think I'm just going to go Keenan Allen, though. Maybe he finds a team and becomes a playable guy for me this year. So we just went over Andy's team pretty briefly. He added Roshan and Arroyo. Going back over my team: Neighbors, Lamb, Love, Taylor, Purdy, Harvey, Kittle, Reed, Pearsall, Pollard, Spears, Stafford, Noel, Davis, James, and Allen. I do like this team. It's not my preferred build, but I think I had no chance at my preferred build when all of the quarterbacks went. And so I think for me, I still have arguably one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver core. Maybe this team right here with Jefferson, Puka, and Hunter. That's pretty good. But I have 2 elite wide receivers. One of the best tight ends, and I'm pretty good everywhere else. So I think this is a very competitive team. So that's it for the mock draft section of the show. What we're going to do now is we're going to do a quick roster review submitted on Twitter. So make sure to go follow Dynasty Drip on Twitter. Search that up. I'll be posting once every couple weeks, looking for rosters to review at the end of our Tuesday live shows. So we're going to bring this up. I think our guy's name was Eric. Told him I would check this out. Hopefully Eric's watching. If not, he can check this as a post. You know, the live videos don't disappear even if you're not looking live. So I'm just doing this as a JPEG image here. It's not perfect. We all know these really long sleeper screenshots. And this is the best way I've found to kind of view them successfully. It's not perfect, but so Lamar, Bijan, Hubbard, Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Evan Ingram, T. Higgins, Rasheed Rice, Caleb Johnson, Justin Fields. So it's looking like SuperFlex, 2, and then 3 flex and a SuperFlex.
It's deep.
I think I'm gonna pull up my Twitter, see if he has the league settings as well here, just to help us out.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a deep team though. I really like this bench, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Let's see. 12-team SuperFlex, 0.5 PPR.
Okay.
Jarquez Hunter, Rashard Smith, Taj Brooks. Looks like he had a lot of 3rd and 4th round rookie picks too. Nick Chubb, Madison, Rashad White, Adonai Mitchell, Savion Williams, Mike Williams, Washington Butte, Shoemaker, Ferguson, Fannin, Mayer, Jay Brooks, and Watson. So even caught a little unlucky injury bug, honestly. Looks like they had the rookie draft. So he didn't really have any early rookie picks. Looks like Caleb Johnson's maybe at a late first. Maybe he won or got 2nd or 3rd or something. That kind of seems where Caleb's been going.
Mm-hmm.
So Andy, what's your first kind of inclination with looking at this team? And if you want me to scroll down more, we'll try to at least get the starting lineup.
Yeah. I mean, for a squad that's that deep, that looks like a pretty good starting lineup. I think, stud quarterback 1, and stud RB 1, and then great wideouts, solid tight end. I think, maybe what we're missing a little bit is, another quarterback that could be put in, because I think Lamar's going to play every week. And then, Fields I like for this year, but, maybe trying to get somebody in that kind of same tier as Fields, where you can either kind of play the hot hand, play matchups. If somebody gets hurt, you're not totally screwed. Because if I'm wrong, are there any other quarterbacks on the bench?
No, and that's what I just scrolled down. I think that was my first thing too, is no extra quarterbacks on the bench. He does have all of his 1st round picks though. So that's good. He's missing a 2 and a 3 next year.
Okay. Yeah. This is a pretty good looking team. I think it could probably use another RB for depth as well. Somebody because I think this team could be good enough to go compete for a championship if you had like a Matt Stafford and like an Aaron Jones. Like if you could go get a couple of older guys that are going to put up points this year, because like Neighbors, Thomas, Higgins, Rice, Lamar, like all those guys are going to score a bunch of points. Bijan. So I think this is a good team. It could just use, a little extra oomph in a couple places, and that can come from like old vets that shouldn't be too expensive. So you're not going out there and getting somebody premium and giving up a bunch of capital.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I mean, I think to me, the 2 things that immediately caught my mind is I'd love maybe one more running back that is of starting caliber. But with that being said, I do like the amount of RBs he has on his bench.
Oh, yeah.
And he could
one of those guys should get some sort of shot.
Back into one with Hunter, Smith, Brooks, Chubb, or Rashad White here. And Rashad White, maybe. I mean, he's a tough one. Like, Do they continue to play him a little bit like they did last year?
Mm-hmm.
That one's really tough for me. I think it's not tight end premium, so I would love a better tight end, but I think with Ingram, and then I love what you did in the rookie draft here in attacking Ferguson and Fannin, I think you should be fine at tight end for now. I'm not going to put that as a have to be need. So I'm with Andy. I think I'd love a running back and I'd love a quarterback. And I think with this team and the knowledge that you have Caleb Johnson on your roster, I'm assuming you were a top 4 team last year. I think would be my guess.
With that roster, I'd be surprised if they weren't.
Yeah, from looking at I don't want to trade any of these starters.
He's right, got hurt last year, though.
Sure. Looking at his bench, does anyone stand out as someone you could maybe move?
Yeah, that's tough because it's a lot of dart throws. I mean, I think some of the rookies that just got picked up, I don't know what the market is like. I don't think people are too high on Mitchell.
Yeah, see, I think Mitchell stands out as like maybe you could get like I mean, Mitchell's probably like what, like a late 3rd round value of some sort.
Yeah. And it might be one of those where it's like you're pairing a couple of guys together. Look for a team that is in the bottom that still has an older running back or an older quarterback on the roster. Just be like, hey man, here's 3 or 4 dart throws and try and go get a guy. What draft capital again? Is it just his first and his 4th?
He has a 1st and a 4th next year.
Okay.
I'm trying to look up here, and then he has all of his picks, I think, in the other rounds. Or he might be missing like a 4th or something.
Yeah. I mean, with a roster like this too, like, would you ever consider like trading the 1st to try and go get like a Derrick Henry or like an absolute?
I totally would. I think I would want to make sure. I think he's good enough at RB to start the season is the thing. Because I like Chuba. I think Chuba's a little underrated as a potential like contender piece.
Yeah.
Because he's pretty good. And so then I like the adding with Caleb Johnson. Trades I'm kind of looking at here, and I don't know how you feel about this, is I'm curious who's on the Bucky Irving roster of who has Bucky. Can I maybe trade that player, Rashad White? Can I maybe add in a 27 second? And, can I maybe use a 2nd and Rashad White to get a running back?
Yeah.
From that guy. But even then, I would be pretty comfortable trading definitely future 2nds, future 3rds, future 4ths at right now, even in the offseason, to get some of these older running backs, an Aaron Jones, a James Conner. But I'm not afraid to trade my 1st, man. If you won last year, if you got 2nd last year, I would be attacking someone who you view as a good value for your 26 1st. I'd start high, maybe at Josh Jacobs, and work down. I think that's about where I would start. I don't think I would start at Derrick Henry just because I think you may be able to get Henry for slightly cheaper.
That's right.
But maybe not. Maybe not. But thank you, Eric. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, if there's a team where you could trade that 1st for a quarterback and a running back, that kind of fit both categories. Like, I just really look the teams that were in like the bottom 5 last year that have, a couple old guys, and just see if one of those can work. Because, usually I'm more in favor of the side getting one piece in a trade, but in this scenario, if it just fills the gaps that you have, I think this would be a really, really strong team. It already is a strong team, but like could make that push to win next year. And I think in that case, if you win, that, give up all your picks because that's what the whole game is about. So,
yeah, I mean, if you could get, I know this is a reach, but dude, if you could get like a Matthew Stafford and an Alvin Kamara or a Geno Smith and a Joe Mixon or something for a 1st, that's what if I'm giving my first, I'm looking for that. I don't think I'm giving my first for less than that. But honestly, Eric, this is a good team, man. You have such good wide receivers, and I wouldn't get too hasty yet. I think where I tend to be a little more willing to push my chips in is if I'm 6-1 and I'm competing for a bye. For me personally, I think the buys are everything for a dynasty league. So thank you for submitting your roster. If you guys are late to the show, hit me up on Twitter, Dynasty Drip. Send me your roster. We will review them. We're going to do one more trade question from Tegan Duncan. Tegan, thanks for joining in, man. Make sure to like the stream, subscribe to Faceoff and Dynasty Drip. Would you guys tier up from Devonta Smith to A.J. Brown? I have Jalen Hurts, so want to pair the two, but they aren't that far in value. I mean, yeah, depending on what the cost is. Yeah. I think, yes, I would. I wouldn't pay a first on top. I would definitely pay. I mean, I would for sure pay a 2, and I'm thinking I might even pay a 2 and a 3 on top, probably.
Especially if I'm a contending team. I mean, if I'm contending, I would do like my next 2 seconds and Devonta Smith to AJ Brown. If I'm a real contender. If I'm not a contender, then I would be willing to spend less because Devonta's a little bit young.
That's the thing. Like if your picks are late, I'm comfortable giving up 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Because I'm cool giving up 211 and 212, assuming you win one of 2 years or something, to tier up. And I mean, I love Devonta Smith, but AJ Brown is in a different category. AJ Brown is an elite top 10 wide receiver in the NFL who had a slightly down year just due to the fact that Saquon Barkley had 75 50-yard runs.
Yeah. And AJ missed a couple games at the beginning of the year. I put a bet on him. I think his under was set at like over 1,300 yards or something. And he missed like 3 games in a row. And I was like, oh, he's going to hit the under no problem. And he made it really close. I was really sweating the last couple of weeks, and that was missing games. So he's that dude.
Yeah. So Tegan, hopefully that helps you, man. Thank you for asking the question. But other than that, thank you guys for joining in on our mock draft stream. Definitely going to have to do another mock draft stream. I liked how slow it went. I think we got to cover a lot of different players and been having a bunch of fun during you guys' roster reviews. Andy, thanks for joining.
Dude, thanks for having me, man.
And thank you guys for coming to the Face-Off Live. Every Tuesday night, 7 Central, I'm going to be here. Basically, starting now until you get sick of my face. Other than that, we're here to help you win your league, especially in Dynasty Fantasy Football. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you guys next week on Fantasy Face-Off.